Mice at Center Ice, Chapter 9. The Big M. Benny awoke in the morning to the sun burning down on his back. It was a new feeling. He had lived all his life inside the Forum. When he opened his eyes, it was hard to see under such a bright blue sky. Benny squinted and then scampered under an old broken armchair where it was cool. He peered out at his new home. Mounds and mounds of garbage stretched as far as the eye could see. The food wasn't choice, as it had been in the Forum, but still, it was food. Benny rummaged around until he found a soggy, half-eaten soda cracker. He ate his breakfast. It was a fine morning, and it felt good to be alive. The garbage dump seemed deserted. Benny decided to go looking for other mice. He saw a small shack in the distance, with smoke curling out of the chimney. Benny ventured closer. He noticed a small patch of ice on the ground near the shack. Something was moving around on the ice. Benny's curiosity was aroused. He ran along the edge of the path. He stopped, twitching his whiskers. On the ice was another mouse. It was a big gray mouse, sporting a red, white, and blue sweater with the letter M on the front. Wire-rimmed spectacles sat on the mouse's nose. The mouse was knocking a bit of rubber eraser around on the ice with a twig. "He shoots! He scores!" cried another mouse as he sent the rubber to the far end of the frozen puddle. Between two tin can markers, an old minnow net strung between the markers caught the puck. Benny approached the big mouse. "What are you playing?" asked Benny. "Looks a lot like hockey, but it isn't real hockey." "Maybe it is, and maybe it isn't." Leaning on his stick, the other mouse turned to look at Benny. "It's called street hockey around here." "Where's the rest of your team?" "I am the team." "Well, that can't be much fun." Benny sounded sympathetic. "It's better than no hockey at all," he shrugged. "The others down here don't go in much for sports. I'm different. I love hockey. I watch every game on the TV set in the watchman's shed." He nodded at the little shack with the smoke curling out of the chimney. "Where I come from," Benny confided, "we play every night all year round. Even in the summer, we have ice." "Sounds like the great beyond," said the other mouse. "The ice will soon melt here. Spring is coming." "There's nothing strange about having ice all year round, you know," Benny told him. "A giant machine at the Forum keeps the ice hard and smooth even in the summer. It's called a Zamboni. That's why I'm here. I was scooped up in it." He told the other mouse his story. "I've got to get back to the Forum in time for the Big Cheddar Cup playoffs," Benny finished. At his words, the big mouse grabbed Benny's arms tightly. His whiskers twitched. "Did I hear right?" He peered at Benny through the wire-rimmed spectacles. "Did you say the Cheddar Cup? Or you did say the Cheddar Cup, didn't you?" "Well, I certainly did. It's just about the most important thing in my life. And to think I'm going to miss it after all my hopes and plans." He began to feel sorry for himself, but the big mouse was dancing around in circles. Then it's not just a legend after all," he cried happily. He kicked one of the tin can markers and sent it spinning across the ice. "It's true. Every single word my grandfather told me is true." "You've heard of the Cheddar Cup?" Benny sounded surprised. "I had no idea it was so famous." "Its fame has spread," said the big mouse. "My grandfather played hockey in the old NHL. They called him the Big M. That's short for the Big Mouse. I'm named after him. Grandfather talked about nothing else but hockey until the day he left for the great beyond." Benny walked around the big mouse. and looked him over. "What position do you play?" he asked. "I'm not sure," said the big M. "I think defense. Yes, I'm sure I would play good defense." "We need defensemen," Benny told him. "What about those glasses? Hockey players don't usually wear glasses." "No problem," said the big M. He took the wire-rimmed spectacles off and blew through the empty frames. He tucked them into his pocket. "There's no glass in them. I can see perfectly well without them." "Why do you wear them?" "They make me look more intelligent, of course." "Of course," Benny agreed. "There's nothing wrong in that, I suppose." He buried his chin in his paw and gazed out over the garbage dump. Wisps of black smoke curled into the air from the smoking fires. They're burning your food," Benny said. "Oh, not to worry," said the big M. "They bring in fresh food every day. Actually, I have quite a fine diet here. If you stay, will you teach me how to play real hockey?" Benny ignored the question. He didn't want to be rude, but he also didn't want to live in the garbage dump forever. He tried to think. "This is my first trip out," he said carefully. "It's not what I expected it to be at all." "Things are never what you expect them to be," agreed the big M. "I want to go home," said Benny, momentarily forgetting his good manners. "I miss the Forum." "You don't want to stay here?" asked the big M, astonished. "There's more than enough food." "I know," said Benny, "and I'm not knocking it, but the food here has been picked over already. It's second best. At the Forum we eat the best food money can buy." Both mice were silent for a moment. "The Forum is my home," said Benny. "It's the only real home I've ever known. I've got to get back in time for the Cheddar Cup. If only I could see a real mouse team play for the Cheddar Cup just once before I go to the great beyond," sighed Big M. "Then I could die happy." "You'll do better than just seeing them," Benny assured him. He stood up suddenly and shook the big M's paw. "You can be on my team. You can play defense." The big M was speechless for a moment. "You won't be sorry," he vowed. "I won't let anyone pass me. I've watched the pros play on television. I know all the moves." "Now, if only we can think of a way to get back to the Forum," said Benny. I'm not sure how to get out of the dump," said the big M. "I've never been out before." He put on his wire spectacles and paced up and down on the charred stump of wood. He folded his hands behind his back. "Do you need your glasses to see now?" asked Benny. "No," the big M told him, "but they definitely help me think better." "Of course." "Of course," agreed Benny. The big M stopped pacing. "I think there's only one way out of here. One way to get out," he said finally. "How's that?" "Same way you came in, Benny." He removed his glasses and tucked them inside his sweater. His voice lowered. "In the garbage truck. We'll both ride out of here, first class on number 51 dump truck. Each truck takes the same route and at about the same time every day. I heard the drivers talking to the watchman." "You're right," cried Benny. "I heard the driver of number 51 say he was going back to the Forum tonight. He wants to see the end of the big game." "Well, that's perfect," said the big M. "It's our only hope," said Benny. "But first, we'll wait until dark."